How would you punish the people that vandalized the rock formations at Meade National Park? If they did this purposely to destroy, it probably breaks federal laws and they should be held fully accountable. Enough of giving criminals breaks, and Child Protective Services should get involved. Makes me sick watching it. But the rocks off because they possibly sat or stood on them, and they were unstable. Thinking they were doing the right thing. They will get caught. It will be interesting to hear what they were thinking. I was at Arches National Park and saw a teenager inscribing some bullshit into a rock formation beneath an arch with a rock. Those arches are rare and take millions of years to form. I snapped a photo of him and called the park office to alert them. They had me text them the photo. He was arrested when he went to leave. It's posted everywhere at the entrance of the park that you will be arrested for vandalism. So it shouldn't have been any surprise to this little fucker. They pushed some rocks. Who gives a fuck? LOL. Didn't realize pushing rocks was a crime. Oh no, now the rocks look different. They looked different 1,000 years ago too. They erode and wear as time goes by. Nobody would have even noticed if it wasn't filmed. Humans really need to get over themselves. We are not the stewards of this planet. This planet does not care about us. Mucking, you take them into a barn at a large hog farm. Make them each sit in a corner, tie them down, and spend a day having hog manure shoveled onto them as the hogs make it. Not deadly, over quick, but is a potent deterrent. They used it in Eastern Europe in the town where my dad grew up. Wish we used it here. It gets the job done. Fines, jail, community service, and a ban from all public parks across the nation, and I mean all. Hard prison time if they are ever again caught in one. They should also have to pay for billboards with their picture explaining what they did and declaring themselves shit people. One for Jenny and the wimp if you catch me. Should be a felony. Take out a loan, buy a house, apply for a job, apply for benefits, etc. They should have to have a long and uncomfortable conversation with the other person about how much of a piece of shit they are. And their images posted at every park, and especially the park they vandalized, showing what the formation looked like before and after and stating that thanks to them, you won't get to see it as it was. Basically make a point to public ally shame them along with the usual punishments. Name a small park after them in Washington, D.C. and then designate it as a spot for Nazis to hold marches. That or a national billboard campaign that shows their faces and says, I vandalized a national park and my address is XXXXXXXXXXX. Public shaming is definitely the way to go for something like this. Make them travel the state doing presentations at high schools about why you should not vandalize nature. I have this horrific feeling they did not know they were committing a crime when they vandalized the rock formations. Educating others so it never happens again seems like a suitable punishment. I would attack them first with bombs and rockets destroying their homes, and then when they run helpless into the streets mowing them down with machine guns. And then, of course, releasing the vultures. I know these views aren't popular ... but I have never courted popularity. You are never allowed on any public land. No more national parks. No driving through a national forest, even if the highway goes right through it. No county parks. No city park. Not even for your nephew's soccer game. You wear an ankle bracelet that shocks you if you trespass. Let us be inventive here. They need to pick up trash on the side of the road every weekend starting 6:00 a.m. till 1:00 p.m. for 3 years. Pay a $50,000 fine with a stipulation, that is the damage cannot be repaired then in 1 year, then both of the punishments double. Take them out to the middle of the park, at least 5 miles from the nearest trail or road or sign of civilization, and drop them off. Let them find their own way back. If they survive, maybe they'll think twice next time. If not, they get to become part of the ecosystem. We should bring back public shaming as punishment. Lock them up in a pillory naked in the town square with their names posted. Let people throw trash at them and laugh at how stupid they look. 3 or 4 days of that and I bet they straighten out just fine. When I saw the video, I heard Linus in my head saying nice going, Charlie Brown. It took that rock for 1,000 years to get to shore, and now you've thrown it back. But in all honesty, I'd say community service for 10 years with a minimum of 2,000 hours a year. Lightly, a fine at best. At the end of the day, they destroyed some rocks that weren't very important to begin with, and have no monetary value. It's not like he murdered someone, so he's not going to get a punishment as bad as a lot of you are hoping for. Desert burials with heads exposed for access by birds. Sorry, but they should be prosecuted and serve time in prison. This kind of thing should be sending a strong message against damage and destruction they have inflicted. Edit fix spelling. These are the same sort of sociopaths that destroy our rivers and oceans with no thought other than making more money at everyone's expense. Both should be sentenced to spend their next 20 years of weekends doing ecological cleanup the hard way. Rub their nose in the ugly dam they built and make them work with shovels to remove it. Oh, you didn't mean the people who flooded a beautiful valley with a big dam to irrigate more lawns in the desert. You meant the little pocket change. I say the punishment should fit the crime. Vandalize a rock. I recommend the Prometheus special chain them to the rocks so that birds may peck and eat them piece by piece. And their bodies will forever stand as a reminder to others. Carry the rocks back up the mountain by hand and put them back. If they're broken, they get to locate all the pieces, glue them back together, etc. Incarcerated and living in a tent on site until the job is finished. Since they like breaking rocks so much, just chain them together and make them break big rocks into smaller rocks with a shitty sledgehammer for 140 million hours. Then a lifetime ban from any national parks. Lay them on the ground with their hands and legs bound. Then lay a board across their chest and add stones one after another until they are crushed to death. Try to make the stones stack so it looks pretty. They destroyed something beyond value, and for the dumbest of all reasons, to 5 years. No chance of parole. Main reason is to pause other hardcore clinical sociopathic a-holes from doing copycats videos. I think simple punishments like public flogging or public lashing should be brought back. I'm tired of paying for someone to sit in prison and not contribute to society. Quick, simple and cheap. 5 years of community service or 3 years in jail. Also $50,000 fine in addition to the cost to restore things as close to original as possible and ban from all national parks for life. Put them in big foam for rock suits and make them stand in for the rocks that displaced and do a presentation on environmental responsibility to everyone that comes to visit. I would hide under a table and wait for them to pass by. When they did, I would extend my hand daggers and slice the mankeys raw before again disappearing into the shadows. A bankruptingly large fine together with a huge number of hours doing community service with an additional ban from entering any national or state park in the future. I wouldn't. They're literally just rocks. The biggest flaw in modern humanity is we spend too much time loving objects and not enough time loving living things. Fine and community service. There's so much else in this country to get upset about and not going to advocate to get Old Testament with a non-violent crime. Make them do community service at every national park for a decade that they have to pay for their own hotels they be staying out of their own pockets. A substantial fine and years of community service and lifetime ban from all national parks and monuments, unless it's to provide that community service. 2 years mandatory latrine duty. Every latrine in the state park must be spotless by the end of every day, including weekends and holidays. 10 years in federal prison without parole, followed by 5 years community service, and an ungodly amount of fines. Something like $50,000, $100,000. When I stopped reading the news, this is the type of news I walked away from and did not look back. Didn't know anything happened. Make them into a nice piece of travertine for a future replacement display piece. Spend every Wednesday and weekend in jail for 5 years, regardless of holidays. It doesn't sound like much, but it would be a drag. 100 hours of community service. As much as I hate people who do shit like this, I don't really think it's a jail-worthy offense. 6 months of national park trail maintenance work, with productivity requirements to avoid an equivalent amount of time in jail. Community service for life and lifetime driving ban. They can ride a bike, use the subway, bus or fly, but no more driving. Extremely large fine and clean-up duty at whatever national park is closest to their home for every weekend for 6 months. Community service and a fine large enough and spread over a long enough time that they will never forget what they did. Force them to repair the damage they caused and restore the site to pre-vandalization state. No power tools allowed. Two options: either they push the rocks back up the hill, they could be pushed down the hill to be with the rocks. Felony, prison. You're destroying our country, literally. Our country. It's all of ours. It's a national park. Drop rocks on them from the height they were destroying formations. Simply throwing them off is not brutal enough. A couple of months in jail should be enough time to get them fired from their jobs and evicted from their homes. 6 months in jail, 400 hours community service, 5K fine, and their photos and identity shared with the world. Are there still prisons where prisoners manually break big rocks into little ones? 25 years of that might do. I can't say without violating Reddit's terms of service. I'm fairly confident they will be caught. However, court-ordered public service as a yellow vest park cleanup crew member for every weekend for 2 years.